Hey everyone, welcome to the VR CEO podcast, sponsored by the amazing VR conferencing and education tool, Roomy. Woohoo! Why meet when you can Roomy? Get it? Roomy? Pretty awesome. Good stuff. 3, 2, 1, and we're live. All right. Hey, thanks everybody. Welcome to the VR CEO podcast, episode number 5. Which is awesome. And we have a pretty cool dude here with us today. Very interesting guy. His name is Pascal Guyon. Thank you, Pascal. Welcome to the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
Awesome. Cool, man. And there's a happy face somewhere on your desktop. You can click that and have emoticons and kind of whatever you want.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Excellent. Awesome. Cool, man. Cool. Welcome. So we're here today with Eric Parks, who runs the podcast with me.
Hola.
Excellent. Very nice. He's very English as a second language. And Pascal Guyon. So cool, man. Welcome. Thank you. I would love to just kind of hear your journey, man, and just keep it super casual. Just start wherever you want and tell us kind of how you got to be where you are today.
Sure, absolutely. I will try to keep it short. So basically, I'm French. I grew up in a very small village in France. And I grew up around great food, but at the same time, access to knowledge was kind of difficult. So basically, as a teenager, I used the radio to discover music and figured out that I wanted to be creative, to embrace a creative journey, and especially music. I used to draw a lot and play Legos like crazy and started to play a lot of music, learn piano and produce a lot of music. So basically a few years later I studied really hard because I decided to go for it. And a few years later I started to travel quite a bit, went to Cuba, actually ended up being invited to play on stage with one of the most famous salsa band. I was 20 years old. That was crazy. And I quickly figured out that I preferred being in the studio producing music than being on stage. So I spent the next few years producing music and using social media to make people aware of my work. So I went really hard with MySpace and actually did some growth hacking techniques. I had no idea what growth hacking was at the time, but that was exactly what I was doing. I put a bunch of strategies together and I got huge visibility through MySpace, and that's how I managed to make music with some of the biggest stars around the world while still living in my French village. So that was pretty cool. But then I wanted to go all the way. All my heroes in music were in America. I was a big fan of Timbaland, Neptunes, and Rodney Jerkins, all the very good music producers. And because of all the communication I did on internet and because of my connection, I ended up being invited in the US by one of the biggest songwriters of all time, Walter Afanasieff. And the crazy thing is that the 2 first albums I worked on during my first 2 weeks in Los Angeles got 3 Grammy nominations and sold over 10 million copies worldwide. So that helped me to move to Los Angeles very easy. I kept working in music a lot. Then I started to feel a bit bored and needed some new challenges. So I started to be curious. I did some research, developed a new passion for finance, technology, and programming. And I worked with a bunch of, finance people, firms, started to program, and that leads me to now being involved with companies like Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, where I help on multiple levels, team building, marketing side, social media side, key connections, that kind of stuff. So I try to keep it short. That's about it.
That's crazy. Damn. I have to say, damn, that is awesome, man. You know, you remind me of, Pascal. You're kind of like a Renaissance man, for sure.
That's what people say. I guess it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's interesting because so many people that you meet just kind of like fall into one, and nothing wrong with it. It's okay, but they fall into one
Yeah.
track, right? And
Yes.
they just they're there, right, until they're
Absolutely.
not around anymore.
Yes.
And it's cool to hear your journey. There's so much. There's like tell me about the music thing. So first of all, you're in a salsa band. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you play?
Oh, I'm a pianist. I used to practice my piano 10 hours a day for years.
Oh shit, 10 hours. Gee, was that like your mom beating you down, or is it something you wanted
No,
to do?
it's actually not. When I decided as a teenager that I wanted to embrace that kind of career, I was very disciplined and I decided to do it myself.
Cool, man. No shit. So were you self-taught?
I had a lot of teachers. I also studied a lot by myself, but I did a lot of workshops. I traveled. I met incredible musicians in Europe, worked with them, got inspired by them. So, yeah.
Cool, man. Awesome. Yeah, I think Erica is bringing up some of your YouTube videos over here. That's cool, man. Let's actually
I'm
hear one of your.
fascinated by the variety of the
Yeah.
music that you play
Yeah.
and produce.
Well, that's the thing. That's the way I function. You know, I'm curious, and whenever I find something that I feel that is interesting, I go deep into it. I study it really hard till I manage to understand it and redo it, and specifically trying to redo it my way. You know.
Awesome, man. Good. That's pretty cool. Hey, Eric, pull up one of these. Which one should we pull up here, Pascal?
Completely up to you guys.
Let's pick up. Let's pick one of these, Eric, and let's.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If I do this, is it going to play through Roomy or should I go to the YouTube?
It'll play through
Widget.
Roomy, but it'll play through. But go to the YouTube widget; it'll be better. Well, while he's
Okay.
pulling that up, yeah, I'll pick anything from Pascal's, library. But while he's pulling that up, I want to ask you. So, what were the bands you were playing with? And you were playing piano,
Oh,
right? In
sure.
these salsa bands.
Yes, absolutely. So I played with jazz bands, salsa bands, and I was also a music director for some signed artists.
Cool.
Um, but the most interesting part is when I went to Cuba with my mentor and we were living with families there. We were actually living with families who represent the religious music in Cuba. So
Hmm.
that's incredible, deep stuff. You know, that's really the roots. And what I learned from one of my mentors at the time is to always go back to the roots of things if you really want to understand what's going on, you know?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's funny that you say that. I had a totally kind of musically related. Actually, I had a math professor back in
Mm-hmm.
the day, and he said the same thing. He's like, "Look, man, if you want to learn math, get rid of the calculator and just use pen and paper, right?" And it's like going back to the
Yeah,
roots, and it's true. Now
yeah,
I
yeah,
can calculate, a tip in my head, which is not that
yeah.
impressive, but
Mhm.
I can
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can totally do it. Um,
Absolutely.
cool. Hey, Eric, while you're typing, I'm just gonna mute you. Just a heads up. So if you want to talk, you'll just have to unmute. All right, cool, man. So Cuba, what was like? When did you go to Cuba, by the way? What
So I
year?
was, I was 2021, so that was 15 years ago, something like that. Yeah, that was 15 years ago. It's a complete other planet. I
Yeah.
was shocked by the amount of soul I felt there. People have nothing, but in a sense, they're so much classier than people in general in rich countries. It's very interesting, you know?
It is, man. Yeah, I've never been to Cuba. Is it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but is it Cuba? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, if you say it the Latin way, I think it sounds like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Cuba. Yeah, yeah. It's Well, that's cool, man. So I've always wanted to go. I actually almost went to Cuba
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
2 years ago.
Hmm.
Didn't work out, but a fascinating place. First of all, it looks stunningly beautiful out
Oh
there.
yeah, 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 yeah. But once again, I think it's the depth of the culture and the history that is the most mind blowing, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Was it hard to travel there back like 15 years ago?
It was not because my mentor at the time, he is one of the biggest specialists of Cuban culture in Europe. So every single year, he takes 10 people and they go to Cuba and you stay 2 weeks. And yeah, you just live and learn from some of the most iconic people in culture there, basically.
Awesome, man. So yeah, what was one of like a big like I think you kind of mentioned it already, the beauty of the people, and it's interesting the the dichotomy there,
Hmm.
between US and what life is like, right? It's very, very different.
Oh, yeah.
And what it's interesting because I've traveled a lot around the world, and one thing that's
Okay.
kind of struck me in these I've never been to Cuba, but one of the things that struck me is that very similar idea is, being poor in the US is
Yeah.
basically being wealthy in some of these other parts of the world.
That's for sure. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
It's
it's pretty
crazy,
crazy,
but
man.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Hey Eric, how you doing on the video?
So I've got
Unmute
up
you.
here ready to go.
Yeah, go
All
ahead
right.
and start something, man. Let's check it out. Awesome. Cool, man. All right, we can stop it there, Eric. Cool, man. Dude, that's crazy. That is wild. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Is this like your home studio? Where's this
Yeah,
at?
yeah, yeah. It's my place. Yeah, 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 yeah.
What are you using here for? Is
Uh,
this?
like software-wise, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. What's the software?
Oh, I do everything in Logic, from zero to finished, mixed and mastered. Yeah.
Okay, do you do it all yourself?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah,
Damn,
yeah.
man. Awesome.
So in that specific case, so actually what happened is I was playing with all these bands, and after studying
Hmm.
so much Cuban music, I started to be really inspired to produce and compose in that style of music, actually. So I started to create all the music for these bands. Then that's an original track that we were playing, and make people dance like crazy. Yeah.
But you can't help it, right? Like you can't help but dance when you hear that music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so full of life. What's going on here with this this record? Is this a gold?
Oh,
Is that a
yeah.
gold record?
Oh yeah, so I don't have paintings. I have platinum and gold records and Grammy stuff on the walls.
Did you hold on? Did you just big time us? You're like, hey man, I got platinum records on my walls. What do you got on
So
yours?
actually, that specific one is for Anthony Hamilton, and I did that track with Heavy D, the hip hop
Nice.
legend,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
I did that my second week in the US. The one on the right is Leona Lewis, her first album that sold like crazy. I think 2008,
Shut up.
2009.
What? What was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
like?
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's a bunch of
Nice.
other ones. All the way on the right over there, that's like a Grammy nomination for the Anthony Hamilton thing. This one is I changed my like the way I put them, so I'm not sure. But there's some K-pop stuff as well. Bands like Super Junior, TVXQ that were really huge albums a
Nice.
few years ago. So yeah, I have little collection, I guess.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. It's a small part.
Yeah,
But right
yeah,
on, man. Dude,
yeah.
that is pretty that's pretty damn impressive. Nice
Well, yeah.
nice work on this. Cool. So how did you go from that to programming?
Oh,
What
yeah.
happened?
So I was studying, the thing is, through music, I worked with really a lot of top musicians and artists around the world. So the thing is, when you're in the music industry, it doesn't really happen every single day that you can or you will work with that type of level every day. And if you don't, you get bored at some point, or it's hard to keep the excitement alive when you work with so many incredible people. So, and I was very good at school, very good at math. So my brain, the other part of my brain started to miss some activity. So I started to be curious, do some research, and I found some people on YouTube that like triggered my interest. People in finance, traders, programmers, and I was like, that looks like an interesting challenge. So I started to study that really, really, really hard, and I started to program because I didn't want to have to stay in front of the computer all day long to watch my trades. So by programming, I could reduce that time a lot. So that's how I started to program actually.
Okay, cool. For I'm assuming financial trades, day trading, something like that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Awesome. It's interesting that you say that about math because music is basically math, right? Like it's very similar.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about balance to me, so
Yep, totally. Yeah, yeah, totally. I heard a bad joke one time. I was just thinking of like keeping like 4/4 time or whatever, because so you're already counting, right, when you're playing music. I heard a
Yeah.
really bad joke. It was what do you call a guy that follows around a band from town to town and just kind of always in the background?
I don't know, a groupie, I
The
guess, but no, tell me.
the drummer.
Oh, that's not nice. That's not
I
nice for
know.
them.
I heard that. I was like, first of all, I don't get it. But
Yeah, and I worked with some very serious drummers, so.
yeah, I recently saw the Foo Fighters
Yeah,
in Seattle,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Dave Grohl was a drummer. Crazy, like that guy is like insanely talented,
Oh, sure.
and like from what I can tell, he seems like a pretty gracious dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
One of
yeah,
the
pretty.
first, I think the first drummer I worked with in the US was a good one because it's Tony Royster, who is pretty much a child prodigy. He was Jay-Z's drummer for a long time, and he is a great, funny person as well. So we
Hmm.
did a bunch of music together, and that was a great time as well. It's super impressive, of course, at what he does. Yeah.
Right on, man. Awesome. Cool. Well, tell us about this. So you went to
Yeah.
programming in finance, and then you built this game. Like, what's going on here? What is this all
So,
about?
so this is probably the most interesting things I created so far, and I will tell
Okay.
you exactly what's going on. So when you keep learning programming, one of the best things to do is to do it by building games. That's, fairly, I won't say it's easy, but it's a great way to put that together.
Hmm.
So, but at the time when I was finishing to put together that little game, I was like, wait a second, I'm gonna use some music in there. People need to hear some music when they play the game. And at the same time, I was starting to be involved with the first smart blockchain for music, a company called Musicoin. And I was
Hmm.
like, wait a second, with my code, if I add the Musicon player on the web page, and if I hide it, and if I put the player on autoplay, it will trigger my music each time somebody loads the page, and that means that I will be paid in cryptocurrency as soon as somebody plays my game. So basically, that's a proof of concept educational video game where people can play for free. They will learn tips on how to grow their social media actually, while my music is streaming from that blockchain company, while I'm getting paid instantly without costing anything to the player. That's what it is.
How does that work though? Like, how did you? So first of all, awesome. Like, really major kudos to it. Such a cool idea.
Uh-huh.
But how do you get paid? Like, so I play this thing,
Sure,
and you're getting a
sure.
royalty of. It's essentially a royalty, right? Like,
Yeah, you can call that like that. It's just like a little fee. So basically, then you have to look at how Musicoin functions. So
mm,
that's a smart blockchain company, and in the way it functions right now is miners are verifying the payments, but also securing the blockchain for music coin. And each time there's a new block of coin being created, there is a percentage kept in a pool for music artists. That means that whenever somebody press play online, there is a coin from that pool that goes from that pool to the creator to pay them for their work, basically. This is the
Awesome.
way music coin functions as we speak right now. So there has been a lot of attacks on the systems lately, so the team is working on like fixing all these things, but this is pretty much the idea. So the cool thing is that putting that together actually triggered some opportunities for me also to speak about creativity and how you can maximize creativity when you combine multiple fields, basically.
That's cool, man. It's interesting. It makes me think of, peer-to-peer music file sharing,
Sure. Yeah.
back in the early days. So like
Oh, yeah.
Napster, Kazaa, kind of, there's a million of them out there.
Yeah.
And the record label's just like, shit, we can't let this go on. People are literally stealing music, right? It's like someone, it's like, hey, I made this painting, and then someone comes to your house and steals it. It's essentially the same thing, right?
Of course.
So I like this because this is like a really unconventional solution to get artists paid for their work. And by the way, it's not just the artists. There's a lot of people involved. Just like this podcast, it's not just me or Eric. There's a lot that goes on in the background of this thing.
Yeah, I see there is a green guy. Like he's like, is he serving beers here?
He's just creeping. He's just
creeping.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem to be much alive. But he's just not. Like the eyes moved. Okay.
The eyes moved. Yeah. So if you look at him, his eyes. So that is our highly sophisticated artificial intelligence that is recording the screen right now.
Oh. Okay.
And when I say highly sophisticated AI, I literally mean it's just another computer and an avatar.
Of course.
And I click record.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's it. But yeah, so I like that, man. That's cool. And it's been successful, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. So the thing is, also on top of that, what I'm doing is I'm driving traffic through my Twitter. And one of the tweets I did about that game got actually 500,000 views so far. So basically,
because Twitter, Eric.
Yeah,
on
I built a community on Twitter. I live stream once a week to keep building the community and sharing interesting things I find out about or whatever. And when if you do a pinned tweet, there's constantly traffic going to the video game, that kind of stuff. So this is how I drove a lot of traffic to it. And that's what I say to people. I benefit from free traffic, which is the dream of any marketers, of course.
Oh, heck yeah, man. So awesome. Again, another great unconventional solution. Eric, he'll pull up your Twitter. I think he's pulling it up right now, actually. But
sure.
It's funny that you say that because I try to make. I'm always like saying, okay, how do I make money just living my life? How do I do this? And I was literally considering, because I drive to Seattle from Bellevue back and forth a lot for meetings. There's just two different cities here in Seattle. And I was like, you know what? I need to become like a Lyft driver or an Uber driver just so I can make money driving to the cities. That's it. And
you find solutions in through other ways, basically another field that helps you to monetize or find a creative solution to the problem. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Monetize everything. Monetize your happiness. So this is cool. So this is your Twitter page. Can you pop up to the top of it real quick, Eric? So this is you in real life.
With my paintings.
Very nice. Very, very nice. You've got like the crazy amount of followers, like 536,000 following 144. Nicely done. And then, Eric, I saw something in here that said like an unconventional or unfair advantage or something. What was that?
Oh, sure. So, I really wanted
click on that.
I've been writing a little bit more lately because, I have a lot of things to say and things to share from previous experiences.
Yeah.
And especially, I would say, in the art world, artists are really not aware that you need to brainstorm a strategy to raise above the noise. You need to be different because everybody says, "Oh, I'm a singer and I sing great." Yeah, well, guess what? There's like 100,000 other people doing the same thing. So like, what makes you different? So in that article, I once again encourage people to research every day to find ideas on how they can build their career in a different way. And I specifically explain how I developed an edge in different fields to get to my goal. Like when I got to Los Angeles, most people come to Los Angeles, for example, an actor or a musician, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go the regular route, talking to managers, talking to music executives, and hoping that it will solve my problem. I will have tons of placements and tons of work. But once again, guess what? Hundreds of thousands of other people are trying to do the same thing. So good luck with that. However, the way I did it is that I built relationship with super high profile people, and that helped me to go straight in the room with music legends and get these credits. I didn't have to compete with other producers and things like that. And for all the different fields I've been into, I've always brainstormed or found creative to get to my goal, basically. So this article is really about that.
Nice job, man. I tell you, hold on one sec. I got
Sure.
a coffee here. One sec.
Yeah, I see that you don't know what to do with your hands.
I have no idea. No, so I was talking in yesterday's podcast. One sec. That if you could figure out the solution to drinking booze and coffee in VR, you could get that company like funded at $20 million in one pitch, guaranteed. But it's interesting that you say this. First of all,
Yeah.
I want to say this: two things. Number one, I wanted to talk about Hattie Briggs using an unconventional solution, and then talk about what you just mentioned. So it's interesting that you say that with like artists, right? There's all these artists. You got to develop these unconventional solutions. I was talking with this super talented artist out of the UK. Her name is Hattie Briggs, and she was essentially discovered by Alfie Boe while she was busking, which is basically street performing, in a train station. And I was like, you know what, good for you. She's out there doing it, just playing her music. I think she's literally the next Nora Jones. Crazy talented. Everybody check her out, Hattie Briggs. She's super great. But one thing she told me, she said, you know what, like people usually just have change in the train stations. So she set up like, I think, a Square card reader, and people could tip her from their credit cards. I thought that was genius. That was genius. But that's an unconventional solution, like you. So I'm gonna send this to her, your articles, because I think she could.
Sure, absolutely.
Well. Yeah, and she's on a worldwide, or I think it's a worldwide tour. It might be just the UK, but
that's great.
She's playing Royal Albert Hall, like just crazy things. But for you, I love your solution because honestly, I think what I hear is trust, one-on-one relationship, and you're building trust with these people, and they trust you, they know you, that gets you in the door, and that separates you from the chaff, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think, then a lot of people tell me, yeah, but how do I build relationships with high profile people? I'm like, provide value. If successful people see that you are really, really good at something and recognize for it, they will, they will welcome you in their world. They will be happy to interact with you and see what you're doing different, because very successful people are often very curious and they constantly want to find out, so why is this person successful? What are they doing?
Totally. Yeah. It's about it's about building trust, developing those relationships, taking chances, taking risks, doing things that not every other person is doing, right?
Sure.
That's great. So it's interesting. So you have first of all, you're very accomplished, right? You have a really crazy life, and it seems like you never stop. I'm assuming you're not like sitting at home binging on 8 hours of Netflix.
No, I don't have TV and I don't have Netflix, so that answers the question.
That answered the question. So tell me about I love that. So that's so good for you, man. That's unconventional. So tell me about your process. Like what what is it like? Like, what's a day in Pascal's life like?
So the funny thing is, yeah, most people think like they say like, "But you seem to work a lot. So what do you do for fun?" And I'm like, I don't work. I have fun all the time.
Good for you, man.
that's
Good for you.
that's how I see it, you know. And yes,
Yeah.
I took a lot of risks, and I still take risks, but it's potentially highly rewarding. So, you know, if you have enough opportunities and some of them are highly rewarding, that allows you to go to the next step and to build on top of it, and you know, and then it's logical building. But no, so a day in my life is pretty much daily. It's certainly a lot of research, knowing what's going on, looking for a new edge. Yeah, I think to me, nothing is more fun than just figuring out something or creating something out of, you know, a few ideas and finding a creative solution, you know.
Yeah. So Eric, just so you know, I just loaded up his image here on the
Oh
photo
yeah,
viewer.
that's the paintings.
Those paintings. I love these paintings, man. I'm going to do that. Actually, this has got to inspire you in that
Yeah.
workflow that you just,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
For sure, man. Yeah, that's cool. So, it's interesting because I was gonna ask you, like, what type of advice do you have for people that are like, I know you're like, people ask you for advice. It sounds like a lot, right? But
hmm
if there's one thing you could say, you know, do this. Like, this is just like, what would it be?
I think it would be just being curious, because I
Mm,
think the
cool.
biggest problem is that I see people very often stay in their circle, and there's a very low probability that magic things will happen if they constantly stay with the same circles. I mean, some of the most successful and creative people I got to know a little bit, like Nolan Bushnell, the founder of Atari Computers.
Mm-hmm.
He was Steve Jobs' first employer. What he does, he constantly exposes himself to randomness. So he goes to like conferences that have nothing to do with, you know, his world. And I love that. I love to do that too. I love adventures. I'm like, let's go and see what's going on there. And then it triggers new ideas, potential new passions, but certainly
Mm-hmm.
creative ideas for whatever you're working on, you know?
Oh yeah, I love that, man. Be curious. That is super important. It's interesting
Yeah.
to expose yourself. Actually, it's more than that. I think what you're saying is, yeah, for sure. Not only be curious, but be scared, right? Like challenge yourself. You know, like, hey, I
Yeah.
don't know this thing. I'm going to go to this conference I know nothing about,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
might feel like a little bit of an outsider. I know nobody
Oh, sure.
here, but
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what's an example of something you've done recently like that?
Well, on Saturday, a friend had the idea of going to a ping pong tournament in a part of town that don't know about. I have no idea where this is. But she's like, yeah, but it's to win like sea urchin. And I'm like, what? That sounds interesting. I'm like, let's go.
To win, what kind of prize is that? Sea urchins?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm like,
Is
Sure.
is she like like what are you gonna do? Let's say, what are you gonna do with a sea urchin? You gonna eat it? I don't know.
She's gonna eat it because it doesn't do much to me. But
I gotcha.
no,
That's awesome, man.
one of the on the more serious side, a little adventure I did last year. I have a friend who is the most mind-blowing person I've ever met. He's like definitely a polymath, big-time prodigy. And we were talking about that movie Ex Machina,
Hmm.
like a few years ago that did very well. That's shot in an incredible location, and we
Hmm.
were talking about it. And I was like, "Do you know that it's a hotel actually? People go there?" He's like, "Really? Let's go!" So we went.
What? Hold on, Eric.
Yes,
Did you see that movie, Eric? Ex Machina?
that's
I
classic
did.
in, yeah, 2017. So we went to spend 10 days there in the countryside of Norway in the mountains. It was gorgeous. And if you want to see pictures and drone videos that I did, it's on my website as well. You can go check it out now if you want. It's
Yeah,
in the blog.
Eric,
Yeah,
for sure. Eric will pull that up. He'll
it's
pull
in
it
the
up and share it.
blog section in traveling, something like that. You'll find it easily. Or just type like my name and Ex Machina, you'll find it right away.
So first of all, when I saw that movie, I was blown away
Yeah,
by the
it's
opening
cool.
scene.
Yeah.
They're traveling. And I'm like, where in the world? I thought it was I honestly, I didn't think it was a real place.
Yeah.
That's crazy. See,
Yeah.
I got to learn everything I can about this. What was that 10 days like? And first of all, how long did it take to get there?
So what we did is we flew to Oslo for a few days to rest a little bit because it's still like a 12 hours flight.
Yeah.
And then we flew to Alesund, a super gorgeous little town on the north side, which is absolutely gorgeous, wild, and here we go. We found the blog post. Look at these pictures.
Nice.
It's crazy, right?
God, that's beautiful. So where's this place right here? This picture, is this?
That's exactly at the Ex Machina location. So there's a hotel there that is pretty much rooms built by very famous architects in Norway. And that specific pictures is the last day. Yeah, I don't know what this is doing here, but whatever.
Like a well, maybe a well or something. This is a cool.
Yes.
What'd you take that photo on? It looks like a 360 render or something.
No, it's actually just my iPhone, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so we flew to Alesund, which I highly recommend. Gorgeous little city, incredible quality of air, and then we had to take a car for 2 hours in the lands, and we got to the specific Ex Machina location. Yeah.
2 hours. Did you rent a car? Did you hire a driver?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had a driver actually. Yeah, we were 6 people, so we had like a little bus to get there. Yeah.
How much was that Uber ride?
That was pretty expensive.
That's gotta be 6 hours. Jeez, man. What did you do? Holy cow! Wow, look at this.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Oh my God, that is. And jeez, was it like this? Did you guys get any weather when you're out there? Or was it?
So actually,
like
actually, I don't think I took that picture. Or did I? I don't remember. There's a picture online that looks like a lot. This one, I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because we had pretty much half the days were raining and the other half was pretty nice. So that was great. I was there in May, and the food was absolutely incredible. There was 2 chefs there. Yeah, and you have the video of the drone. That was my first videos I did with the drone actually right there. Yeah.
Right. You did some drone footage. Nice.
Oh yeah. I was like,
Excellent.
oh, it's a perfect location to take the drone out.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so that's the name of it. Hotel Juvet. It's gorgeous.
Juvet. Nice. Yeah. Oh, gorgeous. Jeez. What drone were you using on this?
The Mavic DJI.
DJI Mavic. Oh, it's funny, man. I was just gonna say, was it a DJI Mavic? That's great. It was in my brain.
It's a classic. So.
How do you like that one? Yeah, it's totally classic. Yeah, it works.
Oh
great,
yeah.
Actually.
Oh yeah. No, I love it. I mean, it works really well. It's super impressive. It's such a small thing.
Did they have any like drone restrictions, or you not even care?
No, well, I do care because I don't want to, take like
kicked
risks or whatever.
Right.
But they do have restrictions. However, on the remote of the Mavic, it tells you actually I think by itself it must connect some information, and it tells you what's the maximum height and that kind of stuff.
Oh, right on. Oh, that's super cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's crazy. God, you've had this crazy cool life and really interesting. So tell me, what are you doing right now? You're with Hyperloop, right?
Yeah, so I'm helping a bunch of technology companies. It depends. On some of them, I'm just an investor, but for other ones, I help on different levels because, as I said, I definitely developed an edge in different fields. So I'm really able to provide solutions for different things. So I'm helping Musicoin, the first smart blockchain for music, helping them on different level as well. So definitely the best thing I did for them was this little proof of concept video game. Still helping Hyperloop on different levels as well, from like social media to some marketing things and finding people to keep the project developing around the world. Yeah, some other things like, I'm invested in SpaceX, and I'm not a financial advisor. You do whatever you want. just saying that. But
Yeah.
the rest of the time, I'm constantly looking for new investments. I keep developing my programming because I think since I'm a creative person, I think if I really keep going deeper in the programming world, I could find things that I could manage maybe to do things that could be very, very interesting. So that's a lot of research and learning, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, man. Are you
yeah.
using like? Do you have a team of people that help support you with this, or is it just you?
Not really, but I mean, around me, I have crazy skilled programmers, artists. I mean, you know, like you said, like kind of Renaissance person. So that's a great way to interact with them because they are much more advanced than me on different topics. So that's very
Yeah,
interesting. So then it's
yeah,
like all about trying to compete and to get to that level and to be able to provide to what they already built themselves, you know, which is very difficult, of course, because you know we're talking like super high level revolutionary kind of creations. So like
oh
yeah,
yeah,
it's like serious stuff. But
yeah.
the rest of the time, you know, I'm doing some mentoring for Westminster, the University of Westminster. I'm doing speaking around the world, like speaking about creativity, of course, music and blockchain, how revolutionary that can be, and social media, because, you know, I changed my life thanks to it. So,
hmm
and yeah, so, you know, researching, teaching, you know, educating people and trying to share the good stuff.
Cool, man. Well, hey, I would love to have you talk in our platform.
Okay.
This is Roomy. This is our software.
Yeah, yeah,
We don't
yeah.
actually don't even. I mean, we don't have a physical office. We employ people all over the world, and this is where we work
Okay.
in rooms like this.
I
But
see.
but one thing we're going to be doing is setting up. Essentially, we have this project where we're building out our own version of TED Talks. You know,
Oh,
think of it like
nice.
that. I
Yeah,
would love to have you come talk about
sure.
whatever you want to talk. I don't even care. It could be that
Yeah.
hotel for, however long you want for an hour straight. Whatever you want to talk about, man. You're such an interesting guy, Pascal. So I'm
Oh,
so
thank you.
and we connected through social media, right? So power of
Hey,
social media.
see? That's what
Yeah,
I say. You know,
it's
still
great.
to this day, so many people tell me that they don't get it, or it's just hype, or it's just like for models to make tons of money. And I'm like, this is why I wrote this blog post and why I talk about it, because I
hmm
changed my life. I was stuck in my French village, and I
Yeah.
just used internet and social media to make people aware of what I could do in music, and that worked out really well.
Right on, man. Congrats. Yeah, that is. I would say it did. I would say that. I would say your life working out well is probably the understatement of the year. But that's just me. I don't know.
Well,
That's
you know,
just me.
at the same time, so many projects failed. You know, like people see my nice paintings and stuff, but at the same time,
Mhm.
so many things failed.
That's okay, man. Like
Of
failure's
course, it's part
part
of
of the
it.
process. Yeah, it's just part of
Exactly.
it. There's no. Yeah, and you learn, and I mean, don't repeat them, right? If you
Yep.
can,
Try to.
just go on. Yeah,
Yeah.
try to. It's been really wonderful, man, to have you on our podcast. Eric, do you have any questions? Anything you wanted to cover before I ask him for his picks?
Eric looks like he's gonna leave the screen.
A little bit. A little bit. What are you thinking, Eric? Anything?
No, I don't have any questions. I love Pascal. I love your attitude about being curious. And I
Yeah.
love that not only do you preach it, but you live it, man. You
Oh
clearly
yeah.
walk that truth. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, I think if you truly follow your instinct, you know, it's good for people to see that too, because I think a lot of people are lost or just kind of a slave of their job and missing some excitement or whatever. So, you know, whenever you're like a creative person, if you can communicate about it too, it's good because it can help other people.
for sure, man. Awesome. So one thing we do on the podcast where we end is you always ask people to give us one thing to embrace and one
Mhm.
thing to avoid. It could be anything. It could be, avoid, Mexican food and standing next to an open flame. It could be anything. Embrace this style of headphones or whatever you want.
Okay, so I
What's
would
coming to mind?
say embrace randomness and constantly question public opinion.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's important. That is important because that actually gets you out of the echo chamber.
Yeah, it gets you in the
Yeah.
edgy stuff. That's how you find stuff.
Yes, man. I love that. Good stuff. Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, Pascal, it's been really wonderful, man. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a good
Thank you
time.
very much. Thank you
Would
very
love to
much,
have you
guys.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
you
good.
bet.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love
Cool.
seeing your hands, and it's been a lot of fun to see these funny hands, and the green guy like working with his eyes.
The green ghost over here. People, you want to get a shot of the green ghost over here? He is already recording it. Yeah, this guy is a total creeper. Total creeper. Total fly on the wall. All right, buddy. Awesome. Good stuff, Pascal. Thanks, man. We'll be in
Great.
touch. See you,
Okay,
bud.
sounds good. Thank you very